Well, ahoy, everyone. And this is the next in my series of ongoing conversations about how we get from the great pause into the great return, as I call it. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to be speaking with people all around the world. So my first international guest is someone that I'm proud to say is not only a very, very longtime colleague, but a dear friend. Welcome, Karen Rosenblum, speaking to us from Madrid. Hola.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Bien, bien. Sí.
So Karen, first and foremost, tell our viewers a little bit about your history. How did you find yourself in Madrid, and how long have you been there?
So I have legally been living in Spain, like on a residence visa for 2 years now. But my history with Spain is much longer than that. I was one of the first, now it's such a term, back in the day it wasn't, but digital nomads. I worked for Airbnb remotely from 2011 until I left in 2017. And while I was working for Airbnb, I was traveling the world and working remotely. And I fell in love with Spain, with Granada, really, and started going in for 3 months and out for 3 months, which was the law. And then finally, ultimately, I left Airbnb to start my own travel company, which I think we'll talk about in a moment. And I decided to bite the bullet and move my life from California here to Madrid, Spain. I chose Madrid because as much as I love Granada and Andalusia, Madrid's a real city. It's vibrant, it's active, it's authentic. I can order Indian food here, which I did for lunch today. So it's just a real city with so much to do, so many networking opportunities, and really so centrally located in Spain, so I can easily travel around Spain.
So tell our viewers a little bit about your business. What's the name of it, and what do you do for a living? How do you help people?
So my business is called Spain Less Traveled. That's traveled spelled the American way, not the 2L British way, just 1L. And basically what I do is I help my clients plan and organize and brainstorm whatever they need, their dream trip to Spain. I do anything from one-on-one travel consultations. I can do a one-off, but I also sell packages of those, to a full-blown itineraries with everything booked, everything that we discuss, everything ready. So when you get here, it's exactly tailor-made to you, what you want, your interests, your budget. And that's what I do professionally. I also manage and founded the Travel Spain with an exclamation point community on Facebook. We have over 7,500 members right now. And it's really a community for people who are passionate about traveling in Spain, people who want to learn more, explore more, see Spain a little bit more off the beaten path. So during this kind of pause of travel, as I like to call it, I've just been working with the community and creating content for what I call Spainspiration.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to Spain in 1985 and fell in love with Barcelona and the Ramblas right away. That's before I realized that only tourists drink sangria on the Ramblas. And of course, then my love of Spain led to me, as you know, marrying a Spaniard, Alfredo Casuso, who is not only a dear friend of yours, but the co-moderator of the Spain Less Traveled group. And I know that I am not exaggerating when I say that Alfredo and I both agree that you know more about traveling in Spain than even we do. You put together an incredible itinerary for us last year, Granada and Cordoba, and the incredible white villages, Pueblos Blancos of Andalusia, including where we stayed for several weeks, Grazalema. I mean, how did you turn this obsession, this love of Spain into a business? When did you realize actually that it was a business?
So my entire professional background, as I like to say, is in the travel industry. As soon as I graduated university, as they say in the US, I started with STA Travel, which was at the time the world's largest student travel company. We planned trips for students around the world, and that was more of my age group at the time. I was straight out of university. So I've just had this travel career in me. I left, well, let's put it this way, STA crumbled and we all got laid off, unfortunately, but it still left an impact on me. And I just continued to build a career in the travel industry, Airbnb, following other smaller travel companies. So the Spain idea came to me. It was pretty natural, to be honest. When you're first starting out a business, you don't really know much about starting a business. I was always Spain focused with my first business, which was called Solo World Wanderer. We did a lot of the same things, but on just a much more, on a smaller scale, but with much less of a niche, if that makes sense. And when I moved to Spain, I just realized that this is where it was for me. This is my passion. This is something that I can truly say to people, look, I can put on the best trip for Spain for you ever. You're going to remember it for the rest of your life. This is my personal passion. While I love travel and while I love traveling the world, I work with partners all over the world for clients who want something beyond Spain, but Spain is the one that I can create, that I can execute for people. And when I moved to Madrid, it just seemed natural to go through the rebranding process and really put myself out there for Spain.
Well, as you know, but maybe our viewers don't know, we were actually together, you, me, my husband Alfredo, his brother Carlos Casuso, in Madrid, literally the week before COVID broke over Europe and then the United States like a wave. We were talking about it. I remember having that wonderful dinner in that Russian restaurant. What neighborhood is that in again?
That's in Malasaña.
Beautiful restaurant. And we were talking about it, but I don't think any of us realized how it was going to change our lives on a microcosmic, but on a macrocosmic level. I want to talk to you now specifically about your experience of COVID personally and professionally. How has it impacted you? And when did you realize it was a thing? And then I want to hear the details about, well, the lockdown that you went through and what was it like for you?
Well, when did I realize it was going to be a thing? It was when I was with you guys, but it was actually not in Madrid. I think I was still a little bit, I think we were all still a little bit naive at the time. It was when we were in Asturias together, and it was just, every news story was about it, and Italy was locking down, and it was just kind of crashing down around us. And I think we all sensed that something really ominous was coming, and we were all just trying to enjoy the moment together. That was a wonderful, I think we were in Asturias together for 3 nights. Wonderful, wonderful time in the north of Spain. And I'm so glad that we got to really travel around the beautiful north before we all got locked down. So you left to go back to the US, and Carlos and I came to say goodbye to you at the Madrid hotel that morning. That was the last time I was on Metro until very, very recently, actually. And shortly after everything just kind of started to shut down, I remember Alfredo, your husband, texting me and saying, you need to make a decision now. Do you want to get on a flight? You can stay with us in Palm Springs. Or do you want to wait this out in Spain? And I said, no, this is my home. This is where I'm comfortable. Again, having no idea what the severity of the lockdown would have meant, but I still would have made the exact same decision.
Was the lockdown worse than you expected?
Yes, I think it was. I remember having a conversation with one of my friends. The last time I went out of my apartment, really, I went to visit my dear friend Katie, who lives just near Atocha station, and I walked to and from because Metro was already seeming a little, and I felt that this might be my last time to really walk around Madrid. But I don't think I realized that the lockdown really meant no going out for walks, no going out for bike rides, no going out for anything but the pharmacy and the supermarket. I was reading another blog post about it a few days ago in another travel group, and something that I keep forgetting to mention that she brought to the light, another woman who lives here in Madrid, was unlike in the US, we couldn't even be out together. Like I couldn't socially distance, meet my friend on the street and walk to the store 2 meters behind her because the police were just breaking people apart and not wanting any sort of like human interaction for 2.5 months. So basically I was locked in this tiny little interior apartment. Interior in Spain means it faces a patio, but no street view. During the time of the lockdown, which was early spring, late-ish spring, we had really gloomy weather, so I never saw any natural sunlight in here. No exercise, which for me, I like to be active. I'm a cyclist. I like to walk, nothing. So I adapted to it because I understood the idea. I understood what was happening. And I also understood the severity of COVID and how Madrid was turning into a morgue. And it was very depressing for a while.
Yes, because
I,
how many, I mean, the death toll in Italy was horrible, and
Spain,
soon Spain overtook it. I mean, and the
Spain
epicenter was in
overtook it.
Madrid. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people died in Madrid.
Yeah. I mean, for 2 or 3 weeks, or every time I heard an ambulance, I knew what that meant. And my whole goal was, let's just stay healthy myself, keep other people around me healthy, which is basically sitting in my apartment. But I made the best of it. I became uber productive. I basically built my community. I started Travel Spain in October of last year. So pretty much half of its lifetime has been during COVID, and the community continued to grow. I was in the process of rebranding. So I worked on the website. I worked. I just shut myself in and worked. And then when I felt like I really just needed to start moving my body again because it was affecting me, I found this great West Coast hip hop dance video on YouTube, and it was like doing West Coast hip hop moves up in this apartment, tiny apartment. But it was hard. It was challenging. It was scary, especially living abroad and not knowing when I'm going to see my family again. And still, that's a very scary thing that I'm dealing with. But at the same time, it was, everyone had a different COVID story and a different COVID situation. It could have been worse. I am very thankful. I know that this sounds weird, but I'm very thankful that I live alone because I was just able to create and on my own pace. I couldn't leave my apartment. So it was what it was. But the day that we could finally go out for walks made a huge difference.
I remember the video you posted because I remember seeing several videos that you posted during the lockdown when you were able just to go out to the pharmacy or something and had to come back quickly because there were actually drones in the sky, police telling you stay off the streets. Madrid looked like a scene from a sci-fi movie after a neutron bomb. It was just there, these beautiful streets of Madrid, all empty. What did it feel like to finally, after 2.5 months of real lockdown? I don't think US citizens understand that, especially in Spain and especially in Italy, those two countries, when they say lockdown, they meant nada going
Nada.
outside. What was
Nothing.
it like the first time you went out into the streets where you could breathe?
Oh my God. So they set hours. I'll never forget. It was a Sunday, May 2nd, May 2nd. And we were allowed to be out for personal exercise. Again, no meeting with friends on the street yet, none of that, from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And I remember going to bed that Saturday night really early thinking, we ride at dawn. So my alarm didn't even need to go off. I was up, I was ready. I was up at 5, at 6, as soon as the clock said 6, it wasn't even light outside yet. I ran outside, and it was so liberating. I cried. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe, like, seeing, I would walk to the Carrefour, the supermarket, and back maybe once a week, but it was very ominous and there was never any detour. I went to my favorite plaza, which is less than a kilometer from my apartment, and just being there, even though it was all roped off still because they hadn't, had a chance to cut the ropes yet. The fountains weren't on, but just being there and looking around and seeing it, everything was closed, but it was still there. Madrid was still there. And slowly after, when the rules became a little more lax, this 1 kilometer 1 hour thing kind of went out the window, and I would take these epic 6 a.m. walks around Madrid because nobody was out then. I always had my mask, and then if I saw people, I would put it on my face. But it's Spain, people don't wake up early here, so it was like me wandering around Madrid. I found these great little spots all over the city that I didn't even know existed. A few weeks later, I finally buckled down and bought a bicycle here in Madrid. And once I had the bike, it was no holds barred.
Yeah, because I know you met my husband and then later me actually doing the California AIDS ride, biking from San Francisco to LA. So I know how much that meant to you. In our last few minutes, talk to me about the now. How is Madrid now? How is Spain now vis-a-vis COVID? And what are you looking forward to doing? I mean, right now, United States citizens are still not allowed to travel to most European Schengen countries. But my understanding is they're reevaluating that every few weeks. So our hope is, knock wood, that sometime before the end of 2020, we'll actually be able to travel to Europe again. How hopeful are you of that? And how excited are you to once again welcome people to Spain?
Definitely. Well, I'm psyched to welcome people back to Spain. I cannot wait until that day. I can't wait to continue to grow my business, to be able to welcome my friends, my clients back, to just let Spain welcome the world back. As to a timeline, the honest answer is nobody really knows. I would like to say, hopefully by the end of the year. It just really depends on what happens with the numbers. As to how things are going here in Spain, relatively well. I say that cautiously because we are dealing with a global pandemic, but because we suffered because we had this severe lockdown, we did make the goal that we set out to make, which was, relieve the medical staff, relieve the ICUs, and that's not happening anymore. Because of the severe lockdown, people here are very cognizant about wearing masks in general. It's not a political issue here, which
you don't have many anti-maskers there in Spain.
No. I was telling a friend the other day that even the far right party, Vox, when they did their socially distanced protests, they all had masks on. So it's not a political issue here, which is really nice to see. I will say that, when visitors are able to come back, responsible travel is going to be a really big thing in my community and my business. Wear a mask. If it's what we do in Spain, you wear a mask. If you have to wear a mask on the AVE, the high-speed train, you wear that mask. We had a really severe lockdown. It affected us personally. It affected our economy. We want to be able to welcome people back. We want to make sure that we're welcoming people back safely. And it's part of what we do here right now. We're pretty on board with the masks. As how in terms of how and when, again, I can't say for sure, but things are starting to newly normalize here, is a fair thing to say. Museums are reopening with strict occupancy codes, terrace cafes, which is a huge part of Spanish culture.
Yes, especially in the summer.
Yeah, especially in the summer. And that seems very safe to be able to dine outdoors. Generally speaking, things are going well here. We have had a few spikes in a few regions, and there are currently 2 more less severe lockdowns, one in Galicia, one in Catalonia. We're hoping that that's just an isolated incident, and it sounds like it might be. But I'm optimistic. Just seeing how this country, even though we don't necessarily have a history of always coming together, we did. And we had a really severe lockdown, and we got through to the other side, and we met the goal.
Great. And tourists from European countries are coming. And have you seen tourists in Madrid? And not U.S. citizens, I know, but have you seen European tourists in Madrid?
I haven't seen European tourists yet here in Madrid. I tend not to go to the center of the city. And right now, because it's July, it's boiling in Madrid.
It's hot. Yeah.
It's like 45 degrees Celsius outside. So,
which is over 100.
Yeah, so people don't necessarily, Madrid's not really everybody's favorite summertime destination, especially Europeans on city breaks. I do have some friends who live in the coastal areas, and yes, they're definitely coming back to the coastal areas. For the most part, being pretty respectful of our mask laws. There have been a few reminders, and as things progress, and as Americans who are, pretty much my client base, even though everyone's welcome into my community, and I'm happy to work with anyone, but because I am American, I understand how Americans travel and what they want. They're usually the clients who come to me. But I do have a feeling that once Spain opens to the US again, there is going to be a little tough love and talk about travel responsibility in the travel Spain community and with my one-on-one clients as well, because it is really important to respect where you're going and to understand what we've been through. And we want to welcome you back. We want to so badly, but we also want to keep everyone here safe.
Well, great. Karen Rosenblum, thank you so much for Spain. Just tell us the name again of your business and where online we can find information about it.
Definitely. So the business is Spain Less Travel. Website is spainlesstravel.com. And then the community is Travel Spain with an exclamation point, and that's over on Facebook. I can send links if you need.
Great. Karen, it's a pleasure speaking with you. Good luck. And I know 2 U.S. citizens and 2 Spanish citizens, therefore, as well, who will be on one of the first planes possible to Madrid. And I know that you'll be there in a mask waiting for us at Barajas International Airport.
Oh, 100% I will, with flowers in my hand.
Thank you, Karen. Ahoy.
Thank you. Ahoy.